I want to tell you about a morning. 4:45 a.m. A man named George is lying in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He's been awake for over an hour. His stomach feels like someone tied a knot in it, and all he had for dinner was soup. This is the morning everything changed for George. He just didn't know it yet. This is his story.
Before I tell you about that morning, let me tell you about George. George is 72 years old, spent 40 years as an aerospace engineer. The kind of person who could tell you exactly, and I mean exactly, why a specific bolt in a 747 needs to be torqued to a precise specification. Everything in George's world was about precision, control, making sure things worked the way they should. But here's the thing about bodies. They don't come with engineering manuals. 2 years ago, George retired. And slowly, not all at once, but gradually, something started to change. Mornings, he'd feel full after half a piece of toast. Afternoons, he'd get this brain fog, energy just gone. Nights were the worst. Tossing, turning, this constant discomfort that wouldn't let him rest. Now, you might be thinking, that's just aging, right? George thought that too.
So George did what George does. He approached it like an engineering problem. Digestive enzymes? Bought 'em. Cut out gluten? Tried it. More fiber? Less fiber? Eating at different times. He even bought one of those gut health books. You know the ones. Green smoothies on the cover. Promises of transformation. Made it to chapter 3. But nothing worked. And here's what George shared in our conversation. He said, I started to feel like I was disappearing, like I was becoming this old man who just sits. And I didn't know if that was who I am now or if I was giving up. You know what the hardest part was for him? It wasn't the physical discomfort. It was the feeling that he was losing himself. The energy, the curiosity, the joy. The George who used to wake up excited to solve problems, he couldn't find that person anymore. That's where George was for 2 years, until one Tuesday morning in April. Now, before I tell you what happened that Tuesday, I need to tell you something George didn't know. Something most of us don't know. 70% of your serotonin, that's the chemical that literally helps you feel okay, helps you feel like life is manageable. 70% of it is made in your gut, not your brain, your gut. Scientists call this the gut-brain axis. It's like a two-way highway. When your gut is inflamed, stressed, not working right, it sends signals up to your brain saying, hey, something's wrong, be worried, feel bad. And here's the thing, this isn't some alternative medicine theory. This is Mayo Clinic research. This is biology. So, when George's digestion was struggling, his mood was struggling, his sleep was struggling, his whole sense of being alive was struggling, and he had no idea they were connected. So, Tuesday morning, April, George is in his kitchen trying to convince himself to eat breakfast when someone knocks on his door. It's his neighbor, Dorothy.
Dorothy is 76. She's been George's neighbor for 8 years. They wave at each other, chat about the weather, that kind of thing. And this morning, she's standing at his door, holding a thermos. "Morning, George. Made too much tea. You want some?" Now, here's what I love about this moment. George almost said no. He was tired. He wasn't in the mood for company. But Dorothy was kind. And he was too exhausted to come up with an excuse. So he said yes. They sit in his kitchen. Dorothy pours the tea. It's steaming, fragrant. George asks, "What kind is this?" And Dorothy says, "Oh, just some herbs I like. Ginger, peppermint, chamomile. I drink it every night. Helps my stomach, helps me sleep." And George is thinking, how is tea going to fix anything? And honestly, that makes sense. We've been taught that real solutions come in pill bottles, from doctors, from pharmacies. A cup of tea feels almost naive. But George tried it anyway. Not because he believed it would work, but because he was too tired to keep fighting. And here's what's interesting. George, engineer that he is, decided to keep a log. He wanted to see if anything actually changed. Day 1, had 1 cup after dinner. Tasted okay, nothing special. Day 3, slept through the night. First time in weeks. Probably coincidence. Day 5, stomach feels lighter. Is that even a thing? Less bloating after lunch. Notice he's trying so hard to stay skeptical. Probably coincidence. Is that even a thing? But his body is responding. Day 7. And this is where his tone changes. This morning, I woke up and I wanted to get up. Not because I had to, because I wanted to see the sunrise. I wanted to see the sunrise. When's the last time you woke up wanting something? Not needing to do something. Not because you're supposed to. Just wanting. That's what started to change for George. Not just his stomach, his desire to be alive.
So a month goes by. George's stomach is better. He's sleeping better. Energy's coming back. This could be the end of the story, right? Problem solved. But it's not. Because one evening, George is sitting in his living room. Dinner's done. Tea is cooling on the side table. And he realizes he's lonely. His body felt better, but he still felt empty. He ate dinner by himself every night, drank his tea by himself, went to bed by himself. His kids were busy, he understood that. His friends, some had moved, some had passed. And George started thinking, maybe I fixed my body, but what's the point? A week later, Dorothy knocks again. This time she has a small bag, loose tea leaves, and a note. George opens the note. It says, "I drink this blend before bed. It makes me feel loved by myself." Loved by myself. George read that line over and over. When's the last time any of us thought about our bodies that way? Not as problems to fix, not as machines that need maintenance, but as beings that deserve love. George told me, I realized I'd spent 2 years being angry at my body, for getting old, for not working right, for betraying me. But my body didn't betray me. It was just tired, and it was asking me, in the only way it knew how, please be gentle with me. Be gentle with me. That evening, George made his tea differently. Not as a medical intervention, not as another thing on his to-do list, but as a ritual. A moment where he was saying to his body, I see you. I hear you. You've carried me for 72 years, and you deserve gentleness. And his body responded.
So that same evening, George made a decision. He made 2 cups of tea, one for himself and one to bring to Dorothy. He walked over to her house, knocked on her door, and he said, "You brought me tea. I thought maybe I could return the favor." They sat on her porch. Evening was warm. Crickets starting their song. Sun setting in that golden way it does. And they talked. Not about anything profound, just the weather, the neighborhood cat, old memories that made them laugh. And George told me, I thought this is what I needed, not just the tea, but someone to drink it with. And Dorothy said something that I think about a lot. She said, "Honey, the tea is just the excuse. What we really need is each other." Here's what George learned, and what the science tells us too. Loneliness isn't just emotional pain. Research shows it creates actual physical inflammation. It weakens your immune system. It disrupts your digestion. It makes everything harder. We don't just need healthy bodies. We need connection. We don't just need good food. We need someone to share meals with. We don't just need rest. We need to feel that we matter. Over the next few months, George changed. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently. He started calling his daughter more, not because he should, because he wanted to. He joined a community woodworking group, started taking morning walks, not to exercise, but because he wanted to feel the sun. 6 months after that first cup of tea, George shared this with me. I used to think strength meant never falling, never showing weakness, never needing help. Now I understand. Real strength is being gentle enough with yourself to get back up. He wasn't the same George who lay awake at 4:45 a.m., not because he got younger, but because he learned something most of us forget. Your body isn't your enemy. It's your friend, your oldest friend, the one who's been with you through everything. And like any friendship, it requires listening, gentleness, and care.
Okay, so what do we learn from George's story? I think there are 3 connections. 3 things that work together to transform not just his digestion, but his life. And you can start building these too. Connection number 1, body and mind. George's gut was talking to his brain. When his gut was inflamed, his mood suffered. When his gut started healing, his mind cleared. This is science. Mayo Clinic, not wishful thinking. So what can you do? Start simple. 1 cup of herbal tea after dinner. Ginger, if you want warmth and better digestion. Peppermint, if you have cramping or discomfort. Chamomile, if you want calm and better sleep. Don't expect magic. Just pay attention. Notice what changes. Connection number 2, self and love. George realized that taking care of his body wasn't just about health. It was an act of love. So, whatever your ritual is, maybe it's tea, maybe it's something else. Do it mindfully. Ask your body, what do you need today? And then listen. Actually listen. Be gentle with what you hear. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being kind. Connection number 3, you and others. Dorothy said it best. The tea is just the excuse. We need each other. You can't heal in isolation. So, invite someone for tea. Call that friend you've been meaning to reach. Join a group, online or in person. Share what you're going through. These 3 connections, body-mind, self-love, community, they work together. When your body feels cared for, your mind softens. When your mind softens, you can connect with others. When you connect with others, your body heals. It's not a straight line. It's a cycle. And it starts with 1 small step. For George, that step was accepting a cup of tea from a neighbor.
Quick, important note before we finish. The information shared here is educational, not medical advice. Herbal teas can interact with medications, especially blood thinners, diabetes meds, blood pressure medications. Always talk to your healthcare provider before trying something new. This is one person's story. Your experience will be your own. George consulted his doctor first. You should too, okay?
So here's why this story needed to be told. If George's journey resonated with you, if you're dealing with digestive issues, or loneliness, or just wondering if there's more to life than this, you're not alone. There's a community called Elderly Wisdom Cares. And it's not just about videos. It's about connection. A place where people like George, and maybe like you, are learning to listen to their bodies, share their stories, and support each other. Weekly wisdom on body care. Simple practices you can actually do. Your body has been waiting for you to listen. Maybe today is the day you start.
George's story started with 1 simple cup of tea. Not because tea is magic, but because it was the first moment he chose to be gentle with himself. What will your first moment be? Thank you for listening. And remember, your body is speaking. It's time to listen.